got to do my fellowship at NASA's Wallops Flight Facility.
I spent 1 week at the Patuxent Wildlife Research Center, which is in Laurel. Then I got to spend another week at the U.S. Geological Survey in Reston, their Geoscience Center.
I was connected with Jim Eggenreiter, who is just a fantastic scientist, engineer, teacher, leader, expert in so many areas. And I was so welcomed and excited to join his Qualcomm lab, Virginia Tech Think A Bit lab for the summer.
So NASA's Wallops Flight Facility was really amazing. I learned a ton about what they do there at their site, as well as across the country, all the different types of things NASA's doing. But my very favorite thing was the first week I was there, there's a program out of the Colorado Space Grant called Rock On, and community college students from across the country and Puerto Rico had built science experiments, and they had all gone on to what's called a sounding rocket, which goes suborbital. It goes up and then it comes straight back down. There was also projects for middle school and high schoolers called Cubes in Space, and there's these little miniature cubes that they'd put in the nose cone of the rocket. So I got to watch them open up the rocket, take it apart, and then the college students get their experiment and start plugging the little SD card into their laptops, and the data pop up. And I took lots of videos and photos to show my students, because that was just such a cool experience to see. And it was almost more exciting to watch the college students get their data than it was to see the rocket launch.
Well, they're pretty famous for a study with cranes that kind of taught the cranes how to avoid airplanes. So a lot of the studies are geared at understanding how the birds live, where they live, what habitat needs they have, so that it's aimed towards conservation. So in the duck colony, Sharon Paraguay let me spend the week with her, and she's a duck whisperer. So I helped take care of the ducks and feed the ducks. I watched her, how she monitors the ducks and how she, basically trains the ducks. And I don't know, it was just really fun. And I was outside the whole time, so I can tell my students about that as well.
I would arrive at the Qualcomm Think A Bit lab, and he did a lot of different things. If you know him, he wears many hats. And one of which was running a few camps this summer. I've only really ever worked with kids that are pre-K to 3. So it was very exciting and nerve-wracking when he was like, well, we're going to have some high school students. We're going to have some middle school students. I was like, I'll do my best. But it ended out being, honestly, the phrase I kept telling him and what I keep telling my principal and those that I work with is just widen. Like, I feel like I really just widened my lens this summer.
They gave me, this is my special jar. When they were done deintegrating the rocket, they gave every student who had put something on the rocket the nuts and bolts that came off the rocket. And because I'm a teacher, they let me take all the extra nuts and bolts. So I'm going to be able to let my students actually touch something that went to outer space.
I worked with Lynn Wingard, who basically goes to Florida Bay in the Everglades and collects data that then she is in a group with the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers and other scientists to helping them decide how much fresh water to reintroduce to the Everglades to restore it, while still making sure the farms and the people have fresh water as well. She actually spent like 3 hours with me one day making a lab for my students to do. And she gave me a whole bunch of beautiful shells of all sizes and varieties. So this is my students, they had to match the shells. They had to figure out what part of the Florida Bay the creatures lived in.
So I created a Bright Night Lab. We are the Knights at Nottingham. And my school they were so excited that I was doing this fellowship. They were like, let's give you a room. They gave me a whole classroom to make into a lab. Unbelievable. Learned about the engineering design process through working with the middle and high school kids with Jim. And then I think honestly, I just have some pictures here of students in the lab using the engineering process, kind of reflecting on our work and thinking about, honestly, one of the biggest lessons besides widening my lens was just how much the kids can use these STEM experiences in the workforce and in the real world. So I think, honestly, one of the biggest takeaways was just not to be afraid to get in there and like give it a try. Jim was just so, there's no wrong answers.
And I've been teaching environmental science and AP environmental science in Fairfax County, and sometimes it's hard. The class can get a little bit stressful because you're talking about a lot of problems. So this summer, and working there helped me kind of remember that even individual researchers, they might just be focused on one species of animal or one place, but they're doing something to conserve it. So altogether, that adds up to a lot of positive way forward. So I'm trying to emphasize that with my students, that there's problems, but there's already people working on solutions.
I've never had so many students say that they want to learn about science and name NASA. The student actually drew a really accurate image of what those student science experiments look like and how they're located inside the sounding rocket. Or some of them got really creative, like the student wants to build a NASA-made submarine. So my students got really excited about learning about space in a way that I've never seen them before. And this is just the start of all the cool NASA projects.